All right, this is going to be page 37 of your journal. So we're on page 37. We're actually doing page 37 and 38. We are going to be going back to 37 over the next couple days and then talking more about it. So what you're going to do is on the left side of page 37, you're going to write the words functions. And on the right side, you're going to write not functions. And you're going to draw a line down the middle of the page. Just like that. Let's see if I got a better pencil. Sorry, it seems like none of my pencils want to work. Okay, so functions and non-functions. All right, so we're going to be looking at 4 different things with functions. So the first thing, we're going to put a box right here, and we're going to put ordered pairs. We're actually not going to look at ordered pairs today. We're going to look at that next week. Then a little bit further down, put the word table. And then a little bit further down, put mapping. And then the last one is going to be a graph. And I'm actually going to be using a pre-made foldable for in class. So we're going to be looking today at the table one and the graph one. I don't know. So we're going to skip the ordered pairs. So you're going to need to leave room for those two right there. All right. So first of all, we need to take a couple of notes about a function and what's not a function. So a function is... Okay, so I'll move this down because we're going to take these notes at the top. So a function is every x has one and only one y. So function, every x has one and only one y. And this is going to make more sense as we go over it. And not a function is when x has more than one y. All right, so the first thing we're going to look at is we're going to go down to the table one, okay? And we're going to draw a table. Now, this is going to be close to the box table. I'm going to draw a table. And I'm on the function side right now. Put x and y. So it's called a T-chart table. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And on the y side, I'll put all 9s. And on the not function side, I'm going to put another T-chart table. And I'm going to put 2, 4, 4, 6, 8. Yes, there are 2 4s. And then 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. And again, it's right by the word table, because out to the sides, we're going to explain why that is a function, why this one's not. So my definition is every x has one and only one y. So let's look. When my x is 3, it had 9 as a y only. When my x is 4, it only had 9. Now, they both have the same 9, that's okay. But each x, so I'm only looking at the x, and I'm looking, how many y's does that x have? How many y's does that x have? So this is a function because each x has only one y. X equals 3 and y equals 9. So when x equaled 3, y equaled 9. When x equals 3, it doesn't equal anything else but 9 for its y. Versus the other side, when x is 2, y is 3. But when x is 4, my y can either be a 6 or a 9. Do you hear how that number 4, that x of 4, has two possible y values? That's when it's not a function. When I have an x that has multiple y's. So when x equals 4, y equals 6, and y equals 9. That's why it's not a function. Okay? We are going to practice this. Okay, and then we're going to skip down to the table. The table is going to be the thing we put at the very bottom. So you can go to the very bottom with it. And we're going to draw many coordinates. It doesn't have to have it just needs an x and y axis. I don't need the whole entire thing. And we're going to draw a U. And we're going to draw a backwards C. We're going to do something called a pencil test for the graph. Actually, I'm going to give you about 30 more seconds because okay, so the pencil test, and I actually like doing this with a mechanical pencil just because I like pulling it out, so you pulling the lead out because it's really thin. So we're going to start at the left of our graph, and I'm going to drag my pencil across it. Okay, so I'm going to be looking at where that graph, where my line crossed that pencil. So I'm actually going to highlight that line. Maybe that'll be easier to see. I'm going to highlight both my lines since it's got the highlighter out. And when I drag that pencil across, I only want the blue line to hit that pencil one time. So if I stop there, that blue line is only hitting that pencil one time at that point. If I drag it there, that blue line's only hitting it right there. So no matter how I drag this across, that pencil is only hitting that blue line once. Versus if I look at this side, when I drag this pencil, when I stop right there, do you see how that blue is hitting that pencil in two different locations? That tells me that is not a function. Because for this x value right here, let's say that's a -1, it's going to have, I don't know, maybe a -4 and a +7, whatever those two values are. It's going to have two y values. Versus here, when I stop my x right there at 2, it's only going to have a y of 0. It's not going to have two y values. Okay. So for my explanation over here, I'm going to put drag my pencil. Instead, I break my pencil. Drag my pencil. If my line only touches the pencil once. Versus on this side, when I drag my pencil, my line touches the pencil more than once. Now, in this example, every place I drag it, it's going to hit 2. But sometimes we have some crazy graphs that's going to hit a bunch of times. We're going to look at some more of those examples. So I'm going to give you a little bit of time to get that down. And on Monday, we're going to add to the ordered pairs and the mapping parts. this foldable came already made, so I couldn't change the order. All right, if you need more time, please pause the video here. But then we're going to go to the left side of page 37, and we're going to make a vocabulary note. Okay, so we're going to make a vocabulary note. So X is called domain. It can be called domain or the input. If you think about that, when we solve equations, we're putting that X into the equation. Our Y is called range or output. So I'm going to write ordered pairs. I'm going to leave a couple blanks. You can leave 3-line blanks, 4-line blanks. I'm going to put table. I'm going to draw a table. X, Y, 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 8. Give you a minute to get that written down. We're skipping space for our ordered pairs because we're going to talk about domain, range, input, output with ordered pairs. We do ordered pairs. In fact, I'm going to box the word ordered pairs here. Let's box the word table. Okay, so for this table, my domain, I even teach you how to write it, how you'll learn to write it in high school. You're going to do a bracket, which is a loose S and a loose backwards S. And my domain is 1, 2, and 3. Those are my X values. I also put it as my inputs are 1, 2, 3. Those are my X values. X is my domain. It's called my, it's also called my input. You will hear it called both ways. You will in high school hear it called domain. I believe you'll hear it called domain more. I feel like, I know in Algebra 1 you call domain, you hear domain quite a bit. And then when we get to our range, we have a range, which is my Y values, 4, 7, 8. And we do our loose, it's a loose S and a loose backwards S, 4, 7, 8. Don't feel bad if you're horrible at drawing. It took me a while. This way there's a loose backwards S and a loose forward S. My algebra kids actually enjoy, I think, practicing drawing those. We draw them so much in Algebra 1. Yes, sorry, I teach an algebra class also. My output, which is also my Y values, are 4, 7, and 8. We're not going to look at input and output with a graph because you really we don't need to look at the input and output for a graph. You'll look at that more next year. All right, so now we're going to flip to page 38. So we're on page 38 now. We're going to be going back to page 37 on Monday. And in class, they're going to have a copy of 3 graphs. And so we're going to draw these 3 graphs in our journal. So, sorry, I just hit the microphone. It made lots of noise. So we're going to look at function graphs. And we're going to draw these 3. One, 2, and these don't have to be perfectly drawn. I know with scatter plots they needed to be kind of perfectly drawn, and for graphing linear things, but these they do not. Okay, so the first one, we're going to start down here at the bottom with an arrow, and you're going to go up, down, and up. This is a type of graph you'll look at, I believe, in Algebra 2. We don't think we look at it in Algebra 1. I might be wrong. It's my first year teaching Algebra 1, and I have not. I'm trying to remember if it's the end of Algebra 1 or beginning of Algebra 2, so sorry. Okay, and then we're going to draw just a linear graph. Draw it anywhere you want. And then for the third one, we're going to draw a circle. And yes, a circle is a graph, guys. You will learn how to graph a circle. Not in this grade. So don't freak out. So we're going to do our pencil test. I'm going to drag my pencil. And I want you to, as silly as this is going to be, I want you to say stop. If I hit this line, if that line hits my pencil twice at the same time. No. And you are ignoring the axes, sorry. And no matter what. Now, up here it got kind of straight feeling, but it's still going at a little bit of angle, so we're going to say this is a function. Function. We'll do the same thing with this one. And this one is a function. A nice little hint, almost every linear graph is a function. There's only one linear example, really, that's not a function. And then we're going to look at the circle. Ooh, when I stop right there, it's hitting my pencil up here. It's hitting my pencil down here. So this one is not a function. And you can either put non-function or not a function. Both of them are correct. So then what I'm having my students do is I'm having them draw 2 more of these. And I'm having them come up with their own function graph and their own non-function graph. Or, yeah, I'm putting non-function. And this is their rules. Their function 1 has to look different from these 2. So they need to come up with something different. And their non-function 1 needs to be different than a circle. And then we're going to share them with class. We're going to talk about them. They're going to show off theirs. If you want to send me yours, that's fine. But I'll show you some other examples, maybe of a function and a non-function one. So a function 1 may be a V-graph. A non-function 1, we don't want to just do scribbles. We want to have end points, unless it's a circle. Circle's one of those weird examples. But, a good example of a non-function would be, kind of like that first one up there at the top left, except for it's going the other direction. And I can see I drag my pencil. It hits my pencil once. This one, when I put my pencil right there, I'm hitting it in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spots. So if you want to send me a picture of your examples, your parents can text them if they want to, and I can tell you whether you did it right or didn't do it. That's fine. Okay, on the other side of page 38, we're going to look at some function tables, which I know we had already looked on the other page, but we're going to look at some examples. We're actually going to look at 5 examples. I'm not having them come up with their own tables. So we're going to do 3 T-charts on the top row. And 2, and this is the only thing we're putting on this page, so if you want to spread them out, I don't care. That's up to you. So 5 T-charts. I'm going to go ahead and start writing down the numbers, and you can copy them with me. And you should be copying these down so we can then talk about them. All right, so go ahead and get those copied down. I'll give you a minute or so to get them copied down. Alrighty, if you need more time, then please pause this video. So let's look. -2 only has 1, only has 1, only has 1, only 1. Good way to look at it is go, were my x's repeated at any time? No, they weren't, so this is a function. Function. But look here, my 1 is repeated, and they have 2 different numbers. Now, if they have the same number, that would be okay. But they have 2 different numbers. So this is non-function. This one again, no repeats in my x's. So it is a function. Notice I am only paying attention to my x's. So I want you, oh, I just noticed I didn't even fill this out. I'm so sorry, guys. Okay, go ahead and get that down. I want you to look at the bottom two, and I want you to determine whether they're a function or a not function. And I want you to pause this video, and I want you to put your answers down. Then when you're done, I want you to push play, and we're going to discuss it. Okay, hopefully you paused it and actually did it, and you're not just watching it through, because you're not going to learn by not trying these, okay? So let's look. I have nothing repeated here, so this is a function. Now, it's tricky because you can only look at the x's. You need to ignore the y's. You can see those y's are repeated all over the place. That's okay. It's the x's that we care about. And we can see here that we have 2 3's. So I'm going to check their y's. 2 different y's. This is non-function. Non-function. All right, guys. That is all for today. On Monday, we're going to continue with functions, and you'll have a homework and vocabulary assignment on Tuesday over functions. And then on Wednesday, we're actually taking a test over functions, because that is all there is to functions, are those 4 things. So we're going to keep practicing it, keep talking about it for a couple days. All right. If you have any questions, send them my way.